Hey, what's up? Welcome to Artist Friendly. I'm Joel Madden. Today, I'm speaking with Tyler Posey. You know him from the TV show Teen Wolf. You know him from his bands and his new solo music that's coming out. Today, we're going to be talking about all of it. So, Tyler, thanks.
I don't want no bad times. I don't want to have bad.
Love that.
All right. I love that you love that.
Stoked, man.
That's the mission, dude.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, I think everybody is always going through things that we're all going through, but we feel like we're going through it alone.
Yeah, definitely. I think also social media makes it easy to feel that way, and just kind of the way that things are nowadays. You kind of always want to advertise yourself as like being this happy-go-lucky kind
best
of everything's
version.
fine.
Yeah. And there is that version.
Sure.
We can all put that up. We can take the picture at the party
and
show everyone what a good time we had. But then we're not showing everyone what we felt like when we went home and we were there alone and we were, so I think that a lot of the people listening, I found to this show are driven to grow. So they're looking for tools to have personal growth. They're maybe trying to achieve something, so personal success, whether it's their job or their dream, maybe it's music, or they're actually struggling with something and they're looking for some to commiserate with people that I think they relate to. And I always find that when we share our experience and things, like you said, from social media, I feel like things are put into a filter that makes it look like there's these people over here that have had all success and everything's perfect, and there's us over here who are, we haven't figured it out. The truth is that none of us have figured it out.
Yeah, absolutely.
The only way we do figure it out is getting to the different stages of our life. So I'm 44. I've figured a few more things out maybe than you have.
Probably.
And maybe in your young life and experience, you figured some things out that someone who maybe hasn't had the experience you've had.
Sure.
So sharing, I think, is always how we all help each other grow.
Dude, I love that. That's why I feel like whenever I'm looking for my purpose over the years, that usually is what it comes down to, is me wanting to be there for others. And so that's why I felt like, first of all, dude, I'm really happy to be here.
I'm stoked you're here.
Stoked, huge fan.
I didn't even say welcome, but I'm so happy you're here.
Yeah, I am like over the moon, freaking out. Love you, love the band.
Oh, thank you.
Super inspired me from day one.
And we've never got to meet, have we?
No, I don't think so.
No, we've maybe been in the same room once or twice.
Sure.
You've been around the scene for a long, long time.
Yeah. I mean, in the actual scene, I don't know, well over 10 years, but I started playing in pop punk bands when I was like 11 and 12. And I was filming a TV show in Canada when I was like 8 years old.
Okay.
And there was this great store called HMV. It was all CDs, all records.
I know HMV.
Loved that store so much. And
are you Canadian?
I'm not, but I
where are you from?
I'm from here. I was born and raised in Cali.
Oh, wow.
Santa Monica. And,
cool.
But they had a plethora of Blink-182 albums, and so I was the only kid on this show, and so Blink quickly became my only friends.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Over in Canada, and it was the first time I've been acting since I was a kid, and I never really felt like I fit in because sometimes there's a stigma of actors being a little bit too, into their own shit. And,
totally.
And I saw it happening when I was a kid from the people that I was working with, and I was like, I don't want to be like that, but I felt a little out of place, and so Blink and punk was the first time where I really felt like I found something that I could really relate to and connect with. And so this has been my life since I was really young.
Yeah, I can tell. I've seen you around for over a decade.
Right.
And always recognize you as it's interesting too, because I knew about you from music first.
Oh, cool.
And
that's sick.
I always kind of saw you as a character in the scene.
Sure.
I knew you were doing, you had bands and then obviously you had the success with your show, which probably brings a whole host of things for you to work out.
Yeah, man. Wild.
Because I think it's interesting how no matter what, if we're creative people, we never want people to know us as the thing we made yesterday. We want them to know us as the thing we're making today.
Sure. Yeah. I can relate to that a little bit. Definitely. I tend to, because right now I'm in an interesting position where like I did this TV show Teen Wolf from 18 to 25.
Hugely successful.
Yeah, it was like I didn't expect it to be like that, but loved it and appreciated it so much. And then we took like a 5-year gap, and then just recently did the movie.
Right.
So I'm doing what you're talking about, where I'm sort of living an old creative thing that I did. You know?
Yeah.
But I tend to I love that. I think I'm always, because I've been around a bunch of artists, actors, musicians who want to sort of leave the past behind and keep growing and
Right.
and elevating, and there is absolutely something to that, and I do that with my work. But I also love sort of revisiting the past, and there's something about that where I learn from it. I don't judge myself. I'm not too hard on myself when I'm watching the shit that I was in. Or
How old are you?
I'm 31.
God, that's a very young age to get there, because I feel like I just got there.
Nice.
I feel like I had to work a bunch of shit out, and I got to a place where like I love the past.
Right. Good.
I love what we did.
Yeah.
And feel like I embrace it now in a way that I maybe didn't for a while. I feel like maybe I rejected it a while.
I get it. So I kind of relate to that. When I was a kid and I just started acting, I was like super embarrassed by it.
Right.
I don't know why.
I guess you would have that experience when you started acting really young. Like,
yeah, I was like 6.
Okay, so by the time you're 16,
right,
you're probably like looking back on all of that.
I was getting made fun of a little bit. I wanted to go to normal school. I was homeschooled a lot, and I wanted to like,
And they're like, oh, there's the actor.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, fuck that. I'm going to smoke pot. I'm going to skateboard. I'm going to be in a punk band, you know. And I was a little bit, but by the time I turned 17, like a year later, I was like, this is a dope career. I don't want to ruin it. I want to get back into it. And then Teen Wolf quickly like happened right after that. And
that's crazy to me to think like that by the time you're 16, 17, you've already had this much life experience that's crazy to me. Yeah,
it was a trip. And then so that I grew up in a small town, Santa Clarita, which is like just north of here.
I know Santa Clarita well.
Yeah, it's
we
cute.
Play baseball out there. My son plays baseball. We go out there all the time.
Yeah, it's a huge sports town.
Yeah,
my brother was a big baseball kid, but it was such a small town, and I was so far removed from the kids, my friends.
Yeah,
I didn't fit in as an actor, and I also didn't feel like I fit in as a normal kid because I had a career. I was traveling the world already, and my friends weren't, and sometimes they would pick on me, or they just didn't understand what I was doing. And so it was this weird sort of like, where the fuck do I fit in?
Right. There's no one like actually acknowledging the real reality of it, which is its work. Either they're on this side going, wow, that must be amazing to travel the world. Yeah, it is. But it's also really hard and lonely.
Yeah.
In some spots.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, they're like, where are you from?
Uh-huh.
What do you mean you haven't been here yet? And you're like, well, I'm only 15. I haven't been to, like, it's weird how when you're over here, there's Hollywood, which is, by the way, the word Hollywood, it's used to sum up the business or whatever.
Right.
The place is actually a pretty grimy place.
It's horrible.
But the word we use to sum up a lot of things, and sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad. Sometimes we use Hollywood in a good way.
Yeah, sure.
Sometimes we use it in a bad way, like those out of touch people.
Yeah.
They're all just people working in a particular business, and some of them are out of touch, and some of them are the most in touch, amazing people you'll ever meet. And just like, to me, just like the world, we get these labels on things, and everyone gets an idea of us because of that label. And so you're sitting in the middle of both sides, which at that age is probably pretty confusing.
It was weird, yeah, definitely. But honestly, music is where I really found my home.
Yeah.
You know, I was going to Warped Tour. Like my first experience of Warped Tour, I was like 14 with my best friend at the time, and he played bass, I played guitar, and we were Mark and Tom from Blink. Like whenever we jammed, he was Mark, I was Tom. I love the Boomer back there. Tom Boomer.
Yeah. I got all my toys back here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same. I've got like this little Tom Stratocaster, this little tiny guy. And I walked into Warped Tour. We were walking through the parking lot in Ventura, and this dude was like, "You guys want a beer?" He was like 20-year-old or something. And I was like, "Yeah." I'm like 14. He tosses me a beer, and He's like, you gotta chug it, dude. And I was like, all right. So like I start chugging it, and he's like, grab your nuts. So I'm like grabbing my nuts, chugging a beer at 14, and that was like, I was like, I feel like I'm home finally.
Yeah.
You know, it felt like I don't know. It felt like
You belong.
I belonged a little bit, you know, and then that just kept going and starting bands, and it was cool. It was really nice to have that amongst the feeling left out in like pretty much every avenue I was in, you know.
That's the great thing about our kind of music.
Right. Yeah.
It really
Super
is.
inclusive.
Everybody's welcome.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah, definitely, man.
I could see how you would need that. Are you close with your parents?
I am, yeah. I'm really close. So my mom passed away like 8 years ago.
Oh man, I'm
breast
sorry.
cancer. Yeah, dude, it's been gnarly. And I was once you started talking about kind of like getting deep, and I was like, oh, this is I could definitely, you know, explore this a little bit in this side of my life. And there was a silver lining, was that my the rest of my family, my dad, my brothers, and I got really, really, really close.
Right.
Not that we weren't before, but it really brought us together. And I've heard stories where that kind of thing can kind of separate a family and sort of demolish it.
Yeah.
And it did in a couple of ways. Like my mom was the glue that held her side of the family together.
Mm-hmm.
And so once she died, we didn't lose touch with that side of the family, but there's definitely a major separation there. I think it's pretty deep. I think it can go to like some animosity and it's just there's a lot of unhatched feelings there
Right.
that we haven't really discussed as a group or anything like that.
Yeah, it's tough to work that out because I think a lot of people don't know how to process how they feel.
Yeah.
And I think when you have someone that sounds like they were if you're the glue, it sounds like that's the person that's helping everyone come along.
That's what it was, for sure.
And
yeah, I think a lot of them don't really know how to process their feelings or
that's
talk
tough,
about them.
man. That's where I think families break down, is we don't have toolboxes to stop and sit at the table together and all be right.
Right, totally.
Right?
Sure.
To sit at the table and go, this is how I feel. This is my experience. This is how that made me feel. And for all the family members to sit, I always say this to my family, to my band, to anyone that I have a relationship with, is we're all at this table. We all have equity here, and how you feel isn't wrong. You may, if you come to understand what I thought and what I think and how I feel, what my experience was, and you can try and understand that, and I can try and understand your experience and how you feel, we can always, I really believe we can always stay at the table and start to talk about other things.
Yeah, that's the ideal. For
You know?
sure. It's tough. It's tough to do that.
Therapeutic. It's a therapeutic exercise that like not everyone has to kind of sign up for it.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's tough because some people it's too painful for them to look at that. And a lot of times it's personal. That's the other thing too, is like if we're not developing on our personal growth and we're not growing, because there's layers of pain we have to get through, right? The truth is painful sometimes.
Absolutely.
So I think with families, it can be really hard to work through all those layers. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times it's just deep shit that's generational. It's back a generation or two that was never worked out.
100%, yeah.
And then these moments happen, like you and your dad and your how many? I
have two brothers.
Two brothers. Okay,
Yeah.
So I have two brothers too. That's cool.
Right, yeah. Are you in the middle?
I am the middle.
Nice, me too.
Yeah. I have a younger sister and my twin brother who's technically older than me.
Right,
but we're the same.
right.
And then my older brother. So we're in the middle.
Nice.
We went through a lot together too. And I think we inherently learned how to communicate with one another because we had to survive together. And so we are super tight and we talk about everything. We overshare, totally. I'm an oversharer. I think my wife gets tired sometimes where I'm like, okay, let's talk about this. How did that make you feel? And she's like, I don't want to, I don't stop. So